Hi, welcome back. Today I'll show you how I painted this face over a pre-made acrylic background that you see here. And I'm going to put a napkin over top of this background and then put the face on top of that. So this is a signature from one of my handmade journals, and I had previously done this acrylic background on it. And I'm going to take this napkin. I chose it basically for the colors, not so much for the subject matter. And I'm just taking a piece of masking tape and sticking it to the plies on the back of the napkin. This is the easiest way I know to separate the napkin plies. And you just stick it on there and it peels right apart. Now I'm just trying to decide which way I want to place the napkin on the page. And I decided I want that postmark to go up and down. So I'm placing it on there, checking the orientation, and then I will put it down with matte medium. The matte medium lets that colored background shine through the napkin, and the white part of the napkin just kind of fades into the color. And yeah, I used a little too much matte medium, but it's okay. You just have to be extra careful not to put too much pressure on it when it's that wet, or you will tear the napkin, which I did at the bottom, but again, it's okay. So I just got it all stuck down pretty well, trying to get some wrinkles in it, and then while I was drying it, I hit it with the brayer to make sure it was stuck down really well. Here I just want you to see the difference between the napkin on a white background and then the napkin, how it looks over that colored background. It makes a big difference in terms of the depth of color. So now we want to push that design of the napkin back a bit. So I chose two colors of Distress Oxide paint, Peeled Paint and Wild Honey. And I'm just going to put it down and spritz it with a little water and spread it around with my fingers. I want to still see the colors of the napkin come through, but I don't want to necessarily see, oh, there's a leaf, oh, there's a pear. Just the basic kind of some of the shapes and the colors. So I'm just adding this green and then the gold to push all of that back. And then using a baby wipe, I just kind of lightened up that gold in the center and dried that off. I'm going to take some white gesso and use my fingers and just hit I'll go over the whole page, but what I'm trying to do is just hit the wrinkles and the high spots to A, lighten up the whole page, and B, to bring those wrinkles forward. I just want to see the texture. And you notice I uncovered that bird, and later on I kind of wish I hadn't A, placed the bird where I did, and B, uncovered it, because it ends up right by the girl's mouth. But I was able to cover it up and it's not as noticeable. So off camera I chalked in the basic outline of her face, and now I'm using a dark wash Derwent Graphitone pencil. It's a water soluble graphite, to go over those lines and better establish the outline of her face. So there's been some discussion on Facebook lately about whether a viewer would rather watch these sped up portions of a video with or without music, either silent like this or with some music added. And most of the people, surprisingly, to me anyway, said they would rather just watch it in silence without any music. So I'm doing that today. I usually do add music. I would really be appreciative if you would let me know in the comments which you prefer. I try not to replay the same clip of music over and over and over because I know as a viewer that gets on my nerves after a while, but I do try to vary the music throughout the sped up portions of my videos, but maybe the majority of you would rather watch like this. Let me know, please. So here I'm just taking a wet brush and activating that water-soluble graphite to spread out the lines, soften them, and it kind of acts like a watercolor a little bit. It doesn't move as much as watercolor, but it does behave a bit like watercolor. The nice thing about the water-soluble graphite is that, and you'll see at the very end, even after it's been activated, you can still re-wet it and move it so that if you need to correct a line or erase a line, that's still totally possible. It's kind of a dance going back and forth at this point to establish the shapes and make sure that like the eyes are both the same and sides of the nose are the same. I'm just kind of going back and forth between the shadows and the highlights. In this particular case, I'm trying to keep the right side of her face a little more shaded since it falls off the page on that side. And as you activate the water-soluble graphite, you do pick some of it up, so a lot of times you end up going back and adding in more. And take it away and bring it back again. I really like working with the water-soluble graphite though. I generally draw my girls' faces in a sketchbook that I have dedicated just to faces, but occasionally I will do a mixed media face as opposed to just a graphite or just a watercolor face. And then those are the ones that will find their way into my other journals like this one. And it's just fun every once in a while to do a mixed media piece that has a face on it. So that layer of painting is dry and it's time to give her some hair. So I went back to a charcoal pencil. This one is a soft charcoal pencil. I'm just going to sketch some hair on and then I will go over it with a wet brush and move it around and sort of color it in. So I'm just using like a 1/2 inch flat brush here to activate that charcoal. And just water. So you still see the color through, you still see some of the line work from the charcoal. And it dulls down when it dries, as you can see. It's just kind of a gray, which I will add some more color to her hair in a little bit. I'm just adding in some high flow acrylic paint to her eyes. And I end up switching brushes because the hairs on that little brush, which used to be my favorite little brush, but the hairs are separating on me and won't stay together. I keep trying, but it's frustrating me at this point. I'm getting little marks where I don't want them. So now I've switched to my longer script liner. And I'm just going through and adding some of that Titan Buff high flow acrylic to the spots on her face where there would naturally be a highlight. Now I've got some green gold high flow acrylic and I'm just giving her some green eyes. Now I've taken my Stabilo All pencil and that script liner brush and I've just got my brush wet and I'm just picking up the pigment from the pencil onto my brush to deepen those lines around her eyes and the pupils of her eyes. And this is where her expression just really starts to come to life. It's all in the eyes. Adding a few eyelashes. I could have gone over all of her features and deepen them with the Stabilo pencil, but I wanted her eyes to really kind of jump out at you, and the rest to not to fade into the background, but to be less prominent. I am going to give her a little more color though, and deepen those nostrils a little bit. I have just an orange acrylic paint that I watered down just to get a little more color onto her lips. And there you can see that I'm kind of correcting that bottom curve of the right eye, just pushing that Stabilo back a little bit with the water on my brush. And now I'm just taking, I think it's red iron oxide, high flow acrylic, and just getting some color into her hair so it doesn't look so flat and gray. And adding some of that to her cheeks so she doesn't look so flat and gray. And finally, I'm just taking that dark wash graphitone pencil and just deepening some of the lines around her mouth. A little more shadow under the chin, or under the lip rather. And then just checking her at that angle to make sure that I'm satisfied with everything. And I am. And she's done. So I hope you enjoyed watching this process. Give it a try with the acrylic background and then napkin and then a drawing or painting on top. It just adds so much dimension to a piece. I hope you'll give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.